I want to show you all the 224 Valkyrie load I like to call the laser beam. Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. Let me give you a quick recap. This has been a crazy project. This 224 Valkyrie series has gotten out of hand, but I've been having a ton of fun. First, I built this Remington 700 bolt action rifle. I figured if I'm going to really test 224 Valkyrie, I want to do it with a completely locked down platform, and this thing is awesome. Some of the latest upgrades that I've done here: Athlon Midas TAC 6-24x50 scope with the sunshade. Really, really awesome performer. I just put a Benchmark muzzle brake on it. Now this rifle hardly has any recoil at all. I also built an AR-15. The AR-15 and this Remington 700 both have Benchmark barrel steel, 24-inch hand lap match grade 1-in-7 twist. These things have been shooting awesome. I've worked up loads with Nosler 70 grain RDF, Hornady 88 grain ELDM. I've shot the Sierra 90 grain Match King SMKs. Those have actually shot really well. But the latest load that I've been looking at is with the Berger 80.5 grain full bore. These things are incredible. And the very first load that I tested, give you some background information on how I'm loading. I'm still loading on the Progressive. I'm not sizing on the press. In fact, this is a load that I'm using right here with brand new brass that I put together for the PRS match that I just competed in. Separate video on that. I share about the Finlay Cup. I share about all the stuff that I used, including this load and including this rifle. And then I talk about kind of what I wanted to do next and some long-term goals. But in preparation for the match, I felt like, you know, the 70 RDF was shooting real accurate. The 88 ELDM and the 90 grain SMKs were not quite as accurate because they're kind of right on that threshold of what this 1-in-7 barrel can stabilize. Still about half MOA, so, you know, plenty usable. I felt like, wouldn't an 80.5 grain bullet kind of split the difference and make for a great load? And sure enough, it actually really has. And I've been loading these on the RCBS Pro Trucker 7 and with a fine metering powder. Hodge did CFE 223. A lot of guys have been having good results. This is the first time I've tried CFE 223 with 224 Valkyrie. I figured it would be a good fit, and I went straight, worked up to the max. I worked a little bit below max and then worked up, shot some groups, and the load, double check with, you know, manufacturers' published load data. Use this data at your own risk. Seriously, do your homework, and I can't be responsible for any problems you have here. This is the max load with CFE 223. So it's 26.6 grains. I've got a Federal 205 primer on there, and I'm loading it to standard magazine length, 2.260 inches cartridge overall length. Why? Because if I find a load that shoots good in this bolt gun, it's shooting really good in the AR-15 that I built as well. The 600-yard range day video showed that with the 70 RDFs. Both were shooting 1.75 inches at 600 yards. So these rifles are tack drivers. And so it's great to be able to work up a load with the bolt rifle and then just transfer it over to the AR-15. I know I'm going to lose about 40 feet per second due to the gas system, and I can chronograph to verify that, adjust the dope, and we're good to go. So here's the interesting thing. I just went for the max load. This was partially kind of on, you know, advice from Brian Litz from Applied Ballistics. He said that he just kind of starts up near the max, and if he can get good groups, he just kind of sticks with that, and he doesn't obsess too much about some of the load data, you know, load development techniques that other people do. So I shot some groups with this load, and I was amazed. I was getting half MOA right away. And just yesterday morning, I shot a group to see kind of how good I could do it, things settled down. Now, a couple notes about this group. I'm going to show it to you in real time. First, I'm shooting off of a relatively wobbly park bench. I'm working on that. I had to get up off the ground to get away from the Mirage. That was the second thing. Quite a bit of Mirage kind of heat boil from my lawn, which is now coming in, is evaporating during the day, makes it very hard to shoot tight groups. Let's see what happened when I shot this 5-shot group. So I was really, really happy with that group. The 5-shot group measured 0.370 inches, shot at 100 yards, and for 224 Valkyrie, I'm totally happy with that result. If I'm under half MOA, I feel like I'm doing really well. And the real test is to take it to 1,000 yards, right? Because that's the promise of 224 Valkyrie, is 1,000-yard plus range, effective range, usable. And so yesterday, I hiked up to the top of the ridgeline where we have our 1,000-yard range here on site at the Ultimate Reloader Outpost with my good buddy Eric Peterson. He brought his Ruger American in 6.5 Creedmoor. I was using the new Condor 3-day assault pack, which works really good. I can fit the drone in there, I can fit all of my shooting supplies in there and strap the rifle to the outside. Couldn't be happier, especially at the price point. So we got up to the firing line, and so we get the drone out to the target, and I take a couple shots, and it turns out I'm high. And when I aimed at the bottom edge of the target, then I was on the target. I had to adjust my dope. I was down about 0.7 mils from where Straylock Pro and where Shooter app told me I needed to be. And we had a bit of a tailwind. I don't know if we had an updraft. I also didn't completely confirm the dope for this specific load at 600 yards, but my other loads were pretty accurate based on those tools, the Shooter app and the Straylock Pro app. So that was really interesting. Once I got the dope dialed in, I center punched the orange circle at 1,000 yards. Okay.
Set.
Shooting. I can't claim I could do that multiple times, but it did happen. Once we got to that point, it was time to move over to the steel target. Now this is a smaller steel target than I intended to put up at 1,000 yards, but it's what I had here at the Ultimate Reloader Outpost. So I decided, what the heck, let's go ahead and hang this thing. I think it's about 8 inches wide and about 10 inches tall. I'm gonna have to go measure it to confirm. It is a small target for 1,000 yards. So I prepared, I was proned out, I held dead center on the target, I took the shot, and 1.6 seconds later, boom, we had impact. First shot at 1,000 yards on that small piece of steel with this load and with this rifle. Now, I had confirmed my dope and I had dialed it on the larger wood target, but the fact that I could hit that target, first round hit at that range, tells me that with this particular laser beam load and with this rifle, this is a 1,000-yard package in a 22 cal platform with great barrel life. And that's really where 224 Valkyrie, I think, has a big advantage over other chamberings like 22-250 or 22 Creedmoor. They might be able to outperform on velocity, but when you consider the fact that you can shoot this in an AR-15 and the fact that you can get, I was talking with Federal at the SHOT Show, Justin Johnson, we're talking about upwards of up to like 4,000-6,000 rounds through a barrel before it's toasted. I think what that tells me is that this is really a viable platform. It might not be for everybody. Everybody might not need it, right? Are you shooting out to 1,000? A lot of people don't. But if you are, and if you want a 22 cal varminting projectile or a projectile that you could use for something like PRS, which I just did, again, check out that story, which will be published shortly. I think it's really a great platform. Now, there have been some problems in the last year. The Sammy Spec reamer issue, some issues with projectiles, different things, bugs to get worked out. But now, I think what I've shown is this is a great cartridge. And so I'm going to have more stories. I'd love to hear what you guys think about this load, this 80.5 grain load. I've taken out plenty of rock chucks with this particular load, and it's very effective on them. It's great for match shooting scenarios. The only trouble I had with a 22 cal projectile was I couldn't see my misses, but that's no fault of Valkyrie. That's more of weight of projectile, diameter of projectile. So I'm going to keep rolling with it. I've got this load under my belt now. It's going to be one in the library that I'm sure I'm going to be using quite a bit. These 80.5 grain projectiles are awesome, and I'm very curious to try them in 223 as well. So if you guys are interested in that, please drop a comment. What are you all finding now? It's spring 2019. Valkyrie's been out for over a year. What loads are working really well for you? Please drop a comment. Are you interested in getting a Valkyrie? Are you going to do a bolt gun? It's kind of an interesting scenario. Or are you going to go with the traditional AR-15? Drop a comment. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to GavinTube with notifications. I got a lot more related stories, a lot more cool rifle builds coming up this year. Tons of good stuff. And so if you want to support me, you can buy one of these cool Ultimate Reloader t-shirts at the Ultimate Reloader store. There's going to be a link in the video description. I'm on Patreon. Again, link in the video description. Until next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.